have to have support, and I think this is what's coming. We are changing the hearts and minds of so many people. This reminds me of a story that I frequently use to demonstrate the point about two colonels that got together after the Vietnam War finally ended. I had been in for 5 years during the 60s, and but in the early 70s, when the war ended, Colonel Harry Summers and Colonel Tu from Vietnam got together to talk about how to pick up some pieces. But our colonel wanted to get the last word in, so when he met Tu, he says, "You have to remember, Colonel, you never defeated us one time on the battlefield." And Colonel Tu paused for a minute. He says, "That is true, but it's also irrelevant." Because people who are defending their homelands, whether it's Vietnam or whether it's Afghanistan, which they've been doing for 1,000 years, the people defending their homeland have the hearts and the minds of the people. Even when they fight among themselves, they will still fight to keep out the invaders. So that is why it's a fruitless fight. But it is this way in this country too. We may lose a battle here and there, but ultimately we're going to win the war because we're winning the hearts and minds of the American people. The opposition will accuse us going back, like Paul Krugman said the other day, you want to go back 100 years. And no, the authoritarians want to go back 1,000 years or 2,000 years. The dictators and the pharaohs and the kings have been around for a long, long time. Freedom is a new idea. It was really developed in this country. We have lost our way, but we can find our way again, and that is what is happening. Thank you very much.
Have you been to InfoWarsShop.com lately? Express your inner patriot with these brand new InfoWars t-shirts. Say it loud with the InfoWars Bullhorn shirt, or educate the sheeple with the Bill of Rights shirt. Grope the public's mind with the TSA shirt. And with this shirt, you can let the dark side know of the Rebel Alliance's power. All available at InfoWarsShop.com.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at InfoWars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. And welcome back to this Tuesday, May 8th, 2012 edition. We're now about to interview investigative journalist par excellence Wayne Madsen of WayneMadsenReport.com. He's written for some of the largest publications in the country and has spent decades on Capitol Hill reporting on national security issues. And he formerly worked for the National Security Agency. Before that, he was in anti-submarine warfare with the Navy. Wayne Madsen is going to talk about a host of issues, including the incredible mutations and death we're seeing in the Gulf of Mexico in the aftermath of the BP spill. He's been down there to do an investigation. He's going to share some photos with us. But first, we're going to get into these pilots going crazy on commercial airlines, but also some of the Air Force's pilots saying that they're being poisoned by the oxygen mix they're being given. Wayne's got some breaking news on that. And then the biggest story, the latest on Fast and Furious, will Holder be held in contempt? Well, that doesn't matter. Why is Newsweek's Daily Beast reporting on stuff Breitbart's breaking, the Breitbart news site, not the deceased reporter, on the fact that the Attorney General's firm is taking money from Wall Street tycoons or who are involved in crime in exchange for payments. I mean, this is amazing. We already knew this. This has actually been in the news last year, but why is the mainstream media reporting on it now? A lot of crazy stuff going on. We're going to discuss it all right now with Wayne Madsen. Wayne, first off, they're threatening to court-martial or drum out these Air Force pilots who are saying that people are dying from this. Won't matter soon. All the Air Force will be drone operated under globalist control. But you've been looking into this. Tell us about the general problem, and then what your research shows is the rest of the story.
Well, the problem is that for decades, the military, in order to keep their parts in maintenance, that the parts in the aircraft don't need maintenance, and they try to keep these parts around for a longer life cycle. They use an additive in the fuel that's called TPC. It's an organic compound, a phosphate, what's called an organophosphate. Basically, this is the same type of substance that's in STP that people put in their cars and in their gas tanks, but in a much lower concentration than what the military uses. Obviously, the military uses the higher concentration because of the type of equipment they're using, the type of jet aircraft, which is much different than what one has in one's automobile. But the problem with TPC is that when heated, it can emit a vapor that has been known to cause dizziness, hypoxia, which is the lack of oxygen to the brain, and even in some cases, psychotic behavior, partial and full paralysis. So we go back and look at all these pilot complaints, both in the military and in the commercial world. And people in the Pentagon say this is probably one of the deepest secrets that the Pentagon has, that this compound, TPC, is known to cause a host of problems with pilots. Now, these two pilots with the Virginia Air National Guard are claiming that there's a problem with the oxygen system in the F-22 Raptor aircraft. Now, Lockheed Martin sold 200 of these at the whopping cost of $79 billion to the American taxpayer. In this case, the Air Force has said, oh, there's no problem, even though they're saying there may be an unknown problem with the oxygen system. It's not unknown. It is very well known what the problem is. And it's not just aircraft. The same compound is put into the fuel of armored vehicles, tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, even Humvees. So a lot of the cases of PTSD we see going back to the Desert Storm and more recently with Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, there have been mechanics that have been working on returned vehicles from those war theaters that have also gotten sick. And it's from this compound called TPC. There's no replacement. There's no suitable replacement for this. So the Pentagon, as they always do, with their favorite contractors like Lockheed Martin and the Carlyle Group that owns United Defense, that produces some of these armored vehicles, it's total cover-up. They don't even want to say that the situation exists. And even this compound is used in the hydraulic fluid in elevators. So even elevator operators have known to have gotten sick from this particular compound. But when it comes to the Pentagon stepping up and stating that this is a problem, they don't want to do it for obvious reasons. They don't want problems with their contractors, and they don't want pilots to just say, hey, we're not going to fly these aircraft anymore. You could see not just in our Air Force, but Air Forces around the world use this compound. We could see a total stand down by pilots, both military and commercial, around the world if they actually knew what the effect of this particular compound is.
Wayne, I mean, there's all sorts of cases of gases getting out of even commercial airlines and making people sick, or planes sitting on the tarmac for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. not letting them, off of the aircraft. It's so archaic because I guess it's seen as special to get to fly. And so, the TSA can grab your genitals, and we'll make you sit on the tarmac. Well, I've seen cases of 12 hours or more, sometimes in over 100-degree heat, and you go to jail if you fight in a claustrophobic way to finally get off. Or a pilot flips out and does something crazy. And then I think of the sergeant who killed all the Iraqis, reportedly. They admit he was going to his 4th tour. He'd been in psychiatric care. He begged not to go. Doctors that have looked at it have said the regimen he was under, undoubtedly, he was on serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They report 110,000 active duty troops. More than 10% are on serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And I'm no rocket scientist, but I've interviewed the top doctors and psychologists involved. The insert of those drugs says causes psychotic breaks, causes people to go into, lunatic breakdowns. It's in the hallucinogen class. So my issue is, we've got, remember a few years ago, 4 members of Delta Force came home and killed their families on Fort Bragg in one weekend. Well, one of them tried, 3 succeeded. We've got, I saw a report today where they're building special prisons, civilian prisons for veterans. I don't know if you saw that. I mean, this is Twilight Zone. People were dangerous after one tour in World War II. Everybody knows, don't mess with Grandpa. He was in World War II. All it is that they've gone past that comfort zone. They don't care. They don't have impulse control. What about 4, 5, 6 tours? And then they blame these people when they go crazy and kill a bunch of people, and they're on Prozac-type drugs. Separately, the pilots say people are dying, people are crashing, something's wrong, and the attitude is we don't care. 30 years ago, they wouldn't make you do more than one tour. 30 years ago, they wouldn't have the troops use DU, knowing in their own manuals it would end up soft-killing them. What has changed in the power structure? Because we had a reckless power structure 50 years ago. But still, they weren't completely out of their minds. What has changed? I'm bringing up a lot of different issues, but I think there's a connection to everything I just said.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is that the administration, this one and the past one, but this one's even worse. The Obama administration is going after whistleblowers, people who bring these issues to the forefront. Now, these 2 Virginia Air Guard pilots were on 60 Minutes this past Sunday talking about this. Now they're facing possible loss of their wings and maybe drummed out of the Air Force. But this issue has been known. The British Pilots Association has seen that this TCP has been a problem for its pilots. We also know, remember back to the 1999 and the Lear 35, Learjet 35 that was carrying Payne Stewart, that was flying from Orlando to Dallas. All of a sudden, they had some sort of failure, and they all were incapacitated. And the plane flew in a northwesterly direction until it ran out of gas and it crashed. It was thought by some experts that they also suffered some form of hypoxia, possibly as a result of using this TCP compound in